Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome along to your Friday Night Rabble here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast. My name's Martin. I'm your host. And my co host tonight is my very good friend Alex. Alex, how are you?
Oh, mate, I'm melting. I'm sitting here melting. This is going to be a long, long hour. Although we're talking about my favourite subject, I'm still melting, mate. How are you?
Melting. Absolutely melting. The only good thing is I think I've lost about 4 stone today just walking up and down the stair. But it's ridiculously warm. It's ridiculously warm. I mean, would you pay the amount of money you need for aircon to use it twice a year?
100%. And this weather, mate, honestly, this is disgusting. And like, I think it's meant to be like 30 odd degrees tomorrow. Like, it's just, we're not suited to this at all.
No, it's what according to my thermometer, it's 30 degrees in Hamilton. So
Jesus.
ridiculous. Kenny will be joining us shortly. As soon as he arrives, we will come in. I was going to wait on Kenny, but then I knew that everybody would complain that we were late and blame me. So yeah, we'll just carry on without Kenny. The new. Get your comments in, folks. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff as well. It is your show. If nobody tuned in to watch, there would be no point in doing it. So get your comments in, and I will try my best to get as many up as I can and take as many questions as I can. Let's start then, Alex, with something that Heart and Hand released today, which was a kind of mini presser with a manager.
Mhm.
And I think obviously one of the biggest takeaways from it, well, there's a few, right? Robin proper, he agreed, just waiting on Robin to make up his mind about what he wants to do, but also effectively telling us who he doesn't want in the squad because he said, Alex, you can kind of guess, I'm paraphrasing, but you can kind of guess from, well, whoever's not here that we don't see a place for them in this Rangers team.
It's the way to be, though. You wouldn't exactly want the players on the training session and in amongst the new recruits and the players that are going to be here next season if the manager doesn't see any future for them at Rangers. So it's obviously the right way to go about it. The players might feel a bit different, but for the likes of Robin Proper, he's been highly linked with a move back to his old club of Twente. And I think for us, Robin Proper's not been a great player at Rangers. He's had some moments that he's shown as a player in there, but then he's also shown some absolute howlers. So for a player like Robin Proper, it's probably best to be away. There's obviously players as well like Ross McCausland. He was one that has been linked away as well. So there's players that should be away, but we talked about this on the last pod we were on, Martin, the fact that after the pre-season game against Bruges, there was players you could see that this was almost the final farewell to the club. They got one last game at Ibrox, and it was right. Thanks for your service, but we'll see you later on.
Couldn't find the unmute button there, but I found it. Yeah. I mean, what do you think that the hold up is then? I mean, Proper's clearly been told you're not part of my plans moving forward. The manager even doubled down by saying, well, look, if you get rid of Robin, do we need to bring anybody else in? And he's like, no, I'm happy with what I've got. So there's definitely no place for him. What is the hold up, do you think, Alex? Is it a case of, well, Twente just won't offer him the same amount of money that Rangers are offering him? So he's got that choice of, well, do I sit on the bench or sit in the stands every game, but earn more money? Or do I go to Twente maybe on a little bit less money, but I'll play?
I definitely do think it's wages. I think he's obviously on quite a decent contract at Rangers, and Twente's obviously not going to offer him the best wages that he's wanting. But as you say, the one thing he's going to get is consistent game time. He's definitely going to get it at FC Twente. He's not going to get it at Rangers. As you say, he's probably going to be in the stands, and that's as much as he's going to get. So if I'm Robin Proper, you take and go back. I would suspect he probably wants to get the captain's armband back again, since that's what he was at the club before. So you'd imagine he wants to go back and be in a similar position as he was before. But he's just got to go. Really, he does. At this point, he's quite clearly not got a future. If the manager's publicly come out and said he's not got a future, we've agreed a fee and we're waiting on him going. I think it was 1.5 the fee was agreed. So, I mean, if he goes, then he's obviously, thanks for your service, but see you later on. He's not had the greatest time here, as I said, but you just think if it's wages, you're going to sit and do nothing for the next, 2 years of your contract? Sit and do absolutely nothing?
Yeah, but can you also blame him though? If, for for example, if the rumoured wages are true, and I've heard anything between 8 and 15k a week at Rangers, right? That's true. And 20 are saying, well, look, we don't pay that anywhere near that. 8k a week to us sounds like millions and millions of quid, right?
Mhm.
But to a footballer, Alex, who's got maybe, if you're pushing it, 15 year, right? If you're pushing it, very few make it to the 15 year, especially make it to the 15 year at a top wage. Could you
Yeah.
blame Proper for going, well, actually, for my family and for my future for the next 2 years, I'm just going to hang about Rangers?
You probably couldn't blame him if he's had to relocate. See if he's had to relocate his family and his kids' school, whatever, back over to Scotland, then it's a case of him to go back. You can't blame him, but from a professional point of view for Robin Proper, if he sits on the bench, or not even on the bench, in the stands for the next year or two of his contract and plays absolutely no football, not many clubs will snap him up when he's 33, 32. So at that point, you'd rather be playing the consistent football for FC20 and then go, right, well, can I move on somewhere after this? Because maybe it's Dutch football's what suits Robin Proper, and nowhere else is actually going to suit him. So maybe he bounced about that league. He's tried something else, it's not worked. But from a financial point of view, he's probably thinking, yeah, I'm just going to stay here, keep the wages going, and just say I'm not going unless they can come to agreement where they pay the remainder of his contract and get him away. You're on mute.
I don't know. In fact, I'll bring this comment up then before I go back to that. Charleston, why does anyone need to go on mute? Can you understand it? Well, this isn't the best time for me to explain it, right? Because Alex's microphone right now, whatever he's using, is dreadful, right? You can hear blah, 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 right?
Aye.
But 9 times out of 10 when everybody's mic's working, if you're not on mute, it interferes with the signal and you end up getting little noises like that. So I'm just trying to make it no as bad, to be honest. But that's why we go on mute. And Kels was saying, isn't it obvious Martin Proper wants a payoff from Rangers to go? Clement had the same issue with Goldson, Tav, Cantwell and Hadji last year. 2 stayed. Matondo and others will be the same. Well, it's the exact same question I put to you, Alex. Obviously, we're Rangers fans. We want the best for the club, which means all these players leaving. And in an ideal world, they would just go, do you know what? There's my contract. Don't worry about it. I'm away. Don't worry. Don't need any money. That's not real life.
No, definitely isn't real life. I mean, we've obviously made a contract with Proper to say we'll keep him for, was it 3 years? A 2-year, 3-year contract? So in Robin Proper's mind, he's going to be a Rangers player for 3 years, unless a bid comes in that is going to push him over, or the wages are going to be more. Now, I'm not going to go to another job where I'm getting paid less, having to move again, having to move my family and that. And that's obviously what Proper's saying as well. Well, why am I going to go somewhere for less and sign a new deal? So you can see it from a financial point of view, he doesn't want to go, but as fans, he's not really wanted at the club. He's not been wanted for a wee while, and that's probably the biggest issue for Proper. He feels that from the fans that he's not wanted, but he's got no place here going forward at all, Martin. Really?
Nah, I don't. I really don't think so. Just quickly before we discuss more transfer stuff and all that, what have you made of the latest training videos and the players in that heat at St George's Park?
I mean, they'll be losing. You were saying you're losing a few stone with the sun. I think they'll be doing the exact same. But I actually really enjoy the training videos. They're a good watch. It shows the intensity that Russell plays at. And I think there was one of the videos when he put it out, he said that I really enjoyed that. I'm not sure if the players did, and they're a bit knackered, but I enjoyed it. So he's obviously running them right into the ground in this heat and just getting them used to everything. But it shows that there's a certain level of intensity they want to play at, and he wants them going at for 90 minutes and not just, let's get a wee kick about, because even the goalies are even involved. And the fact that some of the goals and some of the clips I've seen are just, they're mental. But I actually like the fact that everybody's been pushed into the ground, because it's pre-season. We've got Panathinaikos coming up, but he just wants everybody to be at the fitness level he requires. No, I'm ready to go. I can play a couple of games, because over the past how many years, we get players in, couple of games in, they're injured, they've pulled a hammy, they're away. So I think he's obviously just trying to get the fitness levels to a point where everybody's ready to go at the start of the season, and not be, I'm going to take a couple more weeks to get ready.
Kenny coming on, about to shoot some hoops. Kenny, how are you?
I'm knackered for running about with the Ranger at the basketball court. Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman. I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Good. I'm just internet problems there as usual. So I don't live up where Brian is, by the way. So all good.
Well, very true. Very true. Brian's a rule unto himself, if we're being brutally honest. Kenny, we were just discussing proper there, and the manager had coming out today and saying that Rangers have agreed a fee. He's good to go. It's just up to the player. And it was round about wages, which I think could be a major stumbling block, Kenny.
Aye. I think if you look at the Vardy scenario, which was always to do with money as well, I text on the page, I think, earlier on that there was a hell of a lot of sponsors that were going to step in and help as well. So we just don't know what way you could afford a player these days. There's that many different avenues. But yeah, it's always a case of what's he worth, and how much you want to give. White men can jump. That's a compliment.
Who starred in that, Kenny?
It was Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson. There you go.
Yep. But yeah. Again, it's a case of what he's worth and what he's no, and is it going to be the best for us and stuff like that. I like the boy Gassama anyway. I like him. I think he could be a better player. But again, there seems as if there's a little bit of trepidation here. I was watching the Sky Sports that Danny Rawls going for clear the air talks and all this crap. They say that the players aren't going to be too happy with it anyway. So we, from the Rangers' point of view, it's saying that it's done. So I don't know what that means.
Well, it was Russell Martin that did. I don't know if you got to see his interview, Kenny, that he done with David Edgar and the rest of the kind of media. But he was saying deals agreed our side, everything's arranged the other side. It's just Sheffield Wednesday that we're waiting on.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting one as well, because there's quite a few wee players there, as I said before, a week or so ago when I heard about their embargo and all that, and they wanted their players were basically taking the club to court or looking at the legality side of it and all the rest. And I thought, is there maybe a few wee stars there we could look at in Hull as well? So it's interesting that we're starting to sniff around a few of their players. So I don't know. I like the wee guy Gassama. As I said, he's not going to be walking about with Rangers top on if it's not done and dusted. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just the media thing, trying to play tricks and get a bit of clickbait. So I hope it is done. He's a bit of a player. We've not really replaced decent wingers in each side for a while, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we posted, Alex, that picture on our socials of Gassama and the Red Rangers t-shirt. And I'm not 100% sure, Alex. Is that real?
I don't know. I've seen folks say it's real and a few saying it's fake. It's a bit of a weird one though, because if the club's saying it's all done on our end, you probably think it is real that it's in George's Park and he's obviously with the boys. But I've been reading into a wee bit about Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, they're not having the best of times with their owner, and apparently that's what the hold-up is. He's refusing to sign the contract. But they're obviously on a 2-year transfer embargo, so it might be that because they can't take any players in, they don't want to lose any key assets as well. You might see Gassama has been a key player, but they're on a 2-year transfer embargo, and he's the person that's holding it up. So there's obviously a lot in that club that's not good, but it's about time that Rangers start looking at clubs that are maybe in a bit of financial trouble and going, right, we're going to take some of your young talent, some of your young players, because too long we've had players poached from us because of the necessity to sell. Well, now we're actually looking at other players and going, well, you need to sell to even play the players' wages, because right now some of the players haven't even had their wages played. And they've only got 16 players in their club, 16 players because of the way the club's run right now. So it's a bit mad. If you're Sheffield Wednesday, that could be one of the massive things that's holding it up, because then they're only down to 15. They can't even fill a sub bench at that point.
Yeah, and the reason, Kenny, that I ask if it's real is Rangers are very, very cautious now about what they let get out there, about the rumours that are flying about. They don't really answer anything. Obviously, they would have known yesterday that the Sheffield Wednesday chairman's dragging his heels a little bit. So I'm just surprised, unless it's one of those, he's literally just done his medical, as William's saying in the comments. He's walked outside and somebody's nabbed him. But I'm surprised that picture's allowed out there.
Looked like a little bit of a sneak one, though. There was like an angle where it was just as if somebody tried to just get it quickly, and there's a wee smirk for him as if, oh, wait a minute. Also, it doesn't matter what's going on at Sheffield Wednesday. That's not the first time the wages haven't been paid. So there's no trust At the end of the day, he's probably thinking, listen, this is the best thing for me. We're going to play European football. It's one of those things that I never, ever, ever get. If there's a player linked with Rangers, and I mean really linked with Rangers, where he's doing medicals and stuff, why you would ever back out if you've got a club the size we are, the trajectory, let's say we're on, European football, and all the rest of it. So, yeah.
Possible, Kenny, possible that he might be holding out for some last-minute bid.
Well, there's a few players that do that as well, and they play the game. Their agents are always the ones pulling the strings, and they're thinking, like, Rangers is a massive name, and it always generates other clubs to take note of who's this player Rangers are after. So I do get that type of games there, but it just seems as if this one's done, I think.
See if that's the point as well, though, then look at what Rangers and Russell Martin was saying. You know, if a player is holding out for a different club and this isn't their first choice, then we'll see later on, we'll move on to the next player. So maybe that's not the case, because he's made it quite clear that if that's going to be a player's point of view that they're holding out, then we're going to move on. And maybe that's why we're looking at the boy from Hull as well, because Gassama's maybe
I meant more for a board perspective, Alex. Sorry, I meant more for the chairman holding out for maybe just a last minute, somebody seeing a deal and going, right, well, we'll give you, what is it Rangers have offered? Is it something like $2.5 million apparently, or something like that? Well, we'll give you 3 or 3.5, just holding out for any extra money that you can possibly hold out for. But Joe Cran on Twitter, who I think was the one that broke this story, hearing there's been progress, Alex, on the Gassama deal now, with Rangers looking likely to get their man, sounds like the issues are being ironed out and he'll leave Sheffield Wednesday. So that's somebody, I mean, he's been pretty right throughout the whole thing. He must obviously have a little bit of inside connections saying it's pretty much done now.
You'd hope so. I mean, if I know exactly what you're talking about. On X, he's had a few good break, and he's obviously, when he's putting stuff out, it's pretty much happened, especially when it comes to Rangers. So if it's all been ironed out, you'd hope it's the next day or two. Especially if he's already at the training ground, that we get the photos, because I've seen there's a few like banners and stuff already there with the players. So you'd be hoping that they can get the photos out right now and get them announced before they come back up the road, especially if he's already training with the players. He's met them all. He's met the players that he's going to be joining the dressing room. I know if you look on Instagram at the boys' page, he's followed a few of the Rangers boys as well. So there's something in that as well, that he's actually trying to link up with his teammates. But you just hope that we can get him in. But it shows that Rangers actually mean business, because this will be signing number 8, and the window's not been open that long. So we're actually getting players in. Usually at this point we're linked with him, but we've only got one in. Well, we're getting all our business done early so that we can actually get a team together that want to play together.
Yeah, and Ross Clark's asking, Martin, what was the time on that post? It was 7:05 tonight, the time on that post. So yeah, there we go. Kenny, the manager was also asked something else in his wee presser the day as well, and that was around where his signings are coming from. As he was asked, you know, a lot of them seem to have came from England. Is that the only place we're looking? And it was a kind of cryptic answer for Martin in a way, I suppose. It was, no, we're looking about, but we're looking at teams that we know that we can go into and we can take advantage of certain things. But if stuff happens from further afield, if players are available, we'll go for them. But it has been pretty much all England so far, Kenny.
I know, but just listen, he'll amalgamate who he trusts, that he knows who he trusts, or who he has seen in the flesh, to ones he'll take a chance with. I mean, Patati, Tugerman, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't bother me as long as we do something. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Gerrard brung a good few people from down south. It was in fringe players, and they done all right. So I think you could get back to even Warburton and stuff like that. They got some gems. The good thing is that Martin's played down there and he's managed down there for a number of years, so he knows what he's doing. Well, he knows it when he sees a hard-working player. Any half-wit that stands watching football knows when somebody's a better and hard-working player than the guy that's on the other side of the park who's just nonsense about. So I'm hoping he knows what he's doing. He will amalgamate, I would say, foreign with the British players that he's doing. Big, strong, don't give up, play to 90 minutes. So I think that's where he's going. But it's, you know, it's unfair to say that he's going. Yeah, you're right, Martin. He's going there now, but it's not over yet. So we're heavily linked with Patati and Tugerman. So we'll see what happens to Jong and all that. You know what I mean? There's a few there. So I think he'll surprise us with a couple of overseas ones. But again, I'll reiterate what I keep saying. He's going for tried and tested. Maybe players he's even played against and quite like the fact that there's a few of them in there that he said that he tried to get in other clubs and he didn't get them, that he's going after. So the proof is in the pudding. I says to Stuart Gilroy as well, the coin will flip suddenly because the club is backing the manager. So that coin's going to flip for the manager to see how he responds with what he does with those players and how well he can manage the situation. So I'm interested to see how that pans out, Martin.
Are you happy so far, Alex, with what you're seeing for the club?
100%. We're actually getting our business done. And to reiterate what Kenny was saying as well, we've had so many times where we've got players in that are unknown and they've come in and, you know, we've never really heard of them, but they've come in, they might have shown flashes of it. But look at some of the players we're trying to get rid of right now, like Proper, your Cifuentes, we want rid of Dowell, Davies, but we're shopping in the market. The manager and his team know. They've played in that league, they've managed it, they know the players down there. They've obviously got contacts that are keeping an eye on certain players. And I'm really happy with the business we're doing because we're getting in the positions we need to strengthen. Too often we'll get, right, there's a promising centre mid, but we've got so many, but we'll get them in anyway. No, we're actually strengthening the areas we need to go for. I think Russell Martin said we need 3 or 4 wingers. So he obviously knows that that's how we like to play, and he wants to get the wingers on. And the fact that we're actually getting it done now shows just a bit of a worry that we're actually not seeing many in the striking department. The only one we've really been linked with is like Turgeman. That's went a bit quiet, and then Vardy. So I'd like to see a bit more in the forward department, because if we lose Dessers and Igaman, there's not really anybody there to cover, because we saw Danilo wasn't the greatest.
Can I just come back to something I've already spoke about, actually? Because, Kenny, I think you missed this, and it was just with something Alex said there about Igaman and Dessers. The manager, again, if we go back to Proper possibly leaving, he was asked, will you need to bring in another centre-half then if Proper goes, or are you happy with what you've got? And he said he's happy with what he's got. Are you happy, Kenny, with what we've got in central defence if Proper goes?
No. I mean, you've got 3 or 4, I get it. You've got the likes of your Soapies and that kicking about who's been there a while, but no, it's a long-ass season. You know, you've got to remember some of the players are loan as well. So I think you've got to make sure that area that it's failed us over the last good few years, especially the titles we were going for, certainly at Christmas time, and then we started failing for injuries in the back line, and we had to start putting players out of position. And I think Casemiro played every single position at the back at one point in a season before he got injured. No, really. I think you still need another. If Proper goes, like you said, I feel you would potentially need another 1, maybe stroke 2. It doesn't have to be a guy that's going to come in and play right into starting 11, but could be maybe a potential who you want to bring on and grow. And if an injury did come, you could put him in. But nah, for me, the leagues, the cups, Europe, there's far too many games for us to have any area of that part that hasn't got at least 1 ready to go into each position if anything happens. So I wouldn't say it's too happy.
I'm not 100% sure how to put this, right? Kenny, I'll come to you first on this. Alex, mate, feel free to jump in and tell me that I'm an idiot, right? See, I was expecting you just to go, you're an idiot. That would have been the joke.
I'm waiting, I'm biding my time for your question, right? And then before Kenny answers, I'll jump in, right?
Right, so, Kenny, we've seen players over the years, over the last 4 or 5 years, like obviously taking the 55 season out of it, right?
Right.
But we've looked at players and we've went, no good enough. And as a unit and individually, not good enough in our eyes, right? Now, I'm racking my brains thinking back to players that we've had. So Josh Windass, for example, Todd Cantwell, for example, right? Would they have done better in a Rangers team that had better quality players, right? So would Cantwell have stood out more if he had, you know, a proper Raskin behind him, with a Joe Rothwell, etc., you know, with a better defence, with Max Aarons, all that sort of stuff, right? So let me ask you, whilst we're on the defence, with a better structured team, right, with Max Aarons at right back, with maybe, I don't know, a Jeff Day at left back, or we bring somebody else in, Fernandez, Giga, the lot, could Ben Davis do a job for a season with better players round about him? And the reason, and I'll preface that, right? I'll preface it by saying, if Russell Martin says when Proper goes, I'm happy with what I've got, right? if we kept Ben Davies, would Ben Davies do, even up until January, as a kind of backup, come in and play against the likes of, well, I was going to say Ross County away, but they're down, aren't they? Livingston away or whatever. Would Ben Davies do a job with better players round about him?
I can't say no, because Soapy plays better with certain individuals next to him too. So I think out of a bad bunch, Ben Davies is one of the better ones that has potential. And I think if he's putting players round about that he's maybe used to playing, it's not a coincidence he went down to Birmingham and played really well. I'm going to leave Dowell out of it, right? But Ben Davies, because he played all right, didn't he? But Ben Davies, I think, would do a job yet. Yep. There's no point in keeping stripping everybody away. Is that maybe what he's meaning? He's happy with what he's got. Is he maybe saying, listen, I'm not going to sell Davies, I'm going to sell Dowell, but I'm not selling Davies? Then I would probably be quite happy.
Yeah. Alex?
I think that there's obviously a player there in Ben Davies, and I do get what you're saying, Kenny, because if you look at John Suter, he was more comfortable playing alongside Leon Balogun than he was playing alongside Robin Proper. So maybe that's the connection. I can see Ben Davies probably sitting into it because he's probably one of our better ball-playing defenders. If you look at the way John Suter plays, he panics a bit on the ball. Davies can carry it, but then he gets caught out with his decision making. So there's a bit of that. I think if it's the system that works, Ben Davies could work. But it just, if you look at the training videos, he's obviously training his heart out in them. So there is a player in there. Does he get in when you brought in the young boys of Giga and you brought in Fernandez? You've moved Tav to that centre half role. Suter's coming back from an injury. Is somebody like Ben Davies going to be content just sitting on the bench? I don't think so. I think he's maybe going to want away by the amount of players that are probably in front of him. But then maybe Russell Martin's looking at the fact that he did have a good campaign with Birmingham and going, well, actually, he helped them get promoted. So maybe there is a player in there and we can try and get that working for us in my system.
Can I also jump into that? Martin, can I also jump in and think to myself that at the end of the day, the Rangers teams we saw had no bloody identity. So you've got professional athletes jumping into clubs who are coming with a good reputation and walking in, and they're not going to come to the press and say, Jesus Christ, what have I walked into here? Half of these players don't even know what they're doing. The manager's sticking us into positions with no idea what we're doing. They're not going to do that. So guess what? They get fired in there and the fans go, Jesus, what's this? He's a donkey. Now, Proper is, right? But a few of the ones maybe possibly are better than we think, because there was a lot of pieces to the puzzle that were falling apart in all the teams. So I think there is players in there that are a lot more value and a lot better footballers than we've seen, purely because of the mess and the lack of identity we had as a football team.
Yeah, I just think it was just. I mean, look, Martin could be at it, and we could bring in another centre back tomorrow, right? He could absolutely be at it, because managers don't have to tell us anything. They really don't. I thought it was strange when he said no, he was happy with what he had of Proper left, because I'm thinking, well, that leaves you a young boy who's came from Peterborough, who's never played at this kind of level before, especially when it comes to European games and stuff. And you've got another guy who's just came on loan for a Premier League team, who albeit has a bit of experience. Then you've got John Suter, and John Suter is very injury prone. So you might be, and like you said, Kenny, if we want to be competitive in the league, in the cups and in Europe, you're talking 50, 60 games this season coming. So you can't rely on two. I don't even think you can rely on 3 centre backs, Kenny, for 60 games.
I totally agree with you. Can I agree with you more? But again, we'll just keep going back to the same point about getting let down every Christmas if an injury starts coming in, and some of the centre backs start getting strains and stuff like that. You've got to have some sort of quality come in. We were relying on Leon King and all that, and it was falling apart. You were getting these guys that were actually, we can't really say about Leon King that he's developing. He's been there for a while, fringing on there, right? So he was coming in and going loose balls, the wrong decisions. Proper making a right knob himself as usual. There was loads of things happening, but we didn't have that bench where you say, well, it's all right, but he's coming on. He'll stable it. It's all right. It's like for like. And I think that's the most important thing between ourselves and, dare I say it, Celtic. When they brought folk on off the bench, it was to see out games. When we were bringing folk off the bench, it was to save games, and they didn't have the capability. They didn't have the capabilities, Martin, to save them. So we need to get away from that if we can.
100%. Alex, how much do you know about Russell Martin's former teams whilst he was manager?
So he obviously managed MK Dons, Swansea, and Southampton.
How much of that did you watch?
Southampton a wee bit in the Prem, and I watched some of his Championship campaign when obviously they got promoted for I think they finished second that season, but not a lot to actually like go and dig into like his tactics and stuff. I would have to go back and watch it, but just the way he played.
Just one question then, Alex, right? I was told, and I don't know if this is true, maybe people in the comments can tell me, that he played with inverted tens, right? So for Football Manager lovers, that's basically free attacking midfielders, inside forwards, everything was inside the pitch. But yet we seem to be getting linked with really quick, fast wingers now, Alex. So is that a change in Russell Martin's system, or is he going to try and retrain them to play as inverted wingers, or is that the kind of positions do you think these boys can already play?
I think there's a bit in trying to retrain them to either play in the inverted tens, or because the way Scotland plays in the fact that when you play against your Dundee, your Motherwell, your Ross County, I know they're now in the Championship, but these kind of teams, it's like 11 men behind the ball. Break us down, and if we get a chance to go forward, we'll go. So having the ability to have players that can play inside and out wide, I think that's what he's going for. He's trying to have the players that can do both of that. And the fact that we're getting like Gassama, you've got Asgard as well. You've got all these players that already are wingers. They're proven wingers. But see, when you look at the way they've played for their prospective clubs now, they love to cut in. They love being on the ball, cutting in and trying to get things going in the middle. So I think he knows that these players can suit that system. It's whether or not they can implement it in Scotland, because see if you've got 11 men in front of you and there's no space and there's nobody coming out, it's going to be a completely different ball game to how we see our teams play in Europe, for example. Look at the way Egerman plays in Scotland. He struggles to get bits of play with the ball.
He comes very deep for the ball, doesn't he?
Whereas when you play against Europe, sits on the halfway line because he knows the ball's going to get put over and away he goes, so he runs for it. So I think there is a bit of trying to retrain these boys into playing wide and in inverted roles, but he's obviously a clever guy. He knows what he's doing, and he's obviously got a lot of training. I think we're on day 4. Some of the boys are almost crawling off the training pitch. But that's what you want to see, though. You want to see the fact that their fitness levels are being tested, because how many players have we seen that they're coasting in games, but then they're blown by like the 50, 60 minutes, but there's nobody to replace them, as you said, Kenny. There's nobody to come off the bench and change the game for us, so then they're trying to rescue it. So he actually wants to say, well, see if you can't train for as long as I want you to go for, then you're not going to have a starting position here. And I think it's brilliant to see that. And it's obviously some of the boys that are coming back from training as well are showing that as well. They're getting in dribs and drabs. Like, obviously, we had Lyle Cameron was training. He says it's great to be in amongst his teammates, but I think it's
I'm going to come on to Lyle.
These boys moving forward and just trying to show that there's going to have to be 2 or 3 systems. When we looked at it against Bruges, he was vocal. In the first half and the second half, he was vocal. He was on that touchline, even though it was a friendly, he was still telling the players what he wanted them to do. So I think he's going to try and implement a system where he's got 2 or 3 ways of playing in a game to break down teams. If this isn't working right, quickly change to what we spoke about and get this implemented.
Can I just say, before you come in on that, Kenny, because I could see you agreeing with pretty much everything Alex was saying there. Yeah. Richard Cullen, it could be worse. I just went to the van and got 4 large tubs of ice cream, 16 quid for 4 large tubs of ice cream. Almost gave him a Glasgow kiss. I mean, he would have deserved it. He would have absolutely deserved it. 4 quid for a large tub of ice cream.
I mean,
99 3 quid now.
How much is it? How much is it for an ice cream down your way, guys?
Let's say, what is it, Nicky, for a 99? Maybe we went with the Waynes the other day there.
Is it 250?
You're asking for a 99, it's like 3 quid.
Aye. Stupid, man.
That's absolutely craziness. Absolute craziness. Tell you what, name and shame the ice cream van. Name and shame. And Stuart Henderson, Martin, my missus came home from work with a 3 boxes of frozen curry. So I'll not be having chips in my curries for the next 3 months either. Good. And you'll enjoy it more for not having chips, Stuart. I absolutely promise you. Absolutely promise you. Does that, just quickly on that system then, Kenny, because I know you like your coaching and all that, and I'm not really a big coach guy, but with that system with the inverted 10s, how much pressure is that putting on your wing backs?
It might be right, but it's, do you know, I don't think it could have been explained any better, Alex. Do you know what it is?
Alex, my best pal, Alex, you talk so much sense, Alex.
Just there, sure.
Just get right. I've been on the pod for about a year, right? I've been on the pod. I've been on the pod for about a year now. This is the first time I've had a valid point, right?
Aye. I'm not shaking this, so this time you're hosting.
I'm hosting, right? I'll host. Martin's away. He's giving up.
Listen, what I was meaning was, I was actually in my own head exactly what you're saying. If he has done his homework, he'll realise in Scotland that your Livingstons and these lesser teams are going to sit there with an absolute bus.
Yep.
However, if you're playing with inverted tens and then you're going to switch it and you're going to get a left winger that can move to right wing and you're going to get a right winger that can move to left wing and you can change your central to it, you're going to end up, and also, my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, big, massive boys that might be able to score a goal for a fucking corner for once. I don't know how many years. So I think he's going for height, power, strength, tactical movements as well, in case there's all sorts of different types of games that come up. And in Scotland, it's an absolute riot to try and break down some team that just doesn't fancy playing football against you. So I totally agree with that. I hope that's what he's doing, because if it is, you're trying to get a plan A, B and C, which is what Mr. Beale dealt as he had when he was looking into other eyes before he signed them. And it was a lot of crap. So I'm hoping this time he's doing exactly that, Alex, that he's trying to find 4 or 5 different ways to break down many different scenarios where you're like Livingston's away and, you know, the business end of the season where you're all tired, you've done league games, cup games, and then Livingston decide we're not going down, so we're putting everybody and David Martindale behind the ball. And you need to find a real match winner. So, yep, agree with that totally. Yep.
I found a new show for the members. The Kenny and Alex Lovin'.
Don't you give your shite. You and Connor are well on it. Don't give any of that. I hate Connor. We banter each other.
Hey, that's Connor's best pal up there, I'll have you know. So, yeah, listen, just quickly, because I don't really know much about him, Alex, and it's been linked. Carol Rushworth, goalkeeper. Are you surprised it's took this long for us to be linked to a goalkeeper?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about him either. I've not really had a look at the boy, to be fair, but I do think it's a shock, because the way that Martin likes to play with his goalkeepers, he likes them to always be comfortable at their feet. Now, if you look at the fact that we've got Kelly and Butland, who are famous for not being comfortable with the ball at their feet, Butland likes to do his wee chop and then loses the ball, and thankfully most of the time it hits the side netting. But the 2 goalies we've got just are not good at being able to play out from the back. So I'm a bit surprised it's took this long, but I think there's something in that you've got to look at, though, Martin, for Russell Martin to be now only looking at a goalkeeper, and we're talking about forwards as well. He knows which areas need strengthening, and maybe he's saying that, right, okay, I've got 2 goalkeepers that maybe I can get a wee tune out of, but I need centre halves, I need centre mids, I need ball playing midfielders, I need forwards that can actually do a job, and I think that's probably his biggest thing right now. He needs to get the other areas up to standard before actually looking at other areas of the pitch.
You clocked that, Alex. The
one above too fly for a white guy.
The one above that's a bit better, but you can't put it on.
Wait a minute.
I'm just ignoring that, man. It's taken that long for me to get it. Kenny said it all show because it was Dennis Rodman. Look here, and knew it's me. Jesus Christ.
Mate, it only takes one. It's going to be a barrage.
Is that true, Alex, that you have a love affair with trees?
I must say, mate, because I was the sun earlier on with Trev, is it no? Trev saying I was touching the sun when I went outside, so trees just must be the in-between.
Oh, you make Emmanuel Fernandez look like Martin Compston, don't you?
You have to look down just to get him. Look down and look in his eyes.
That's somebody who's taller than you, Alex Fernandez.
No way.
I'm telling you. He is. Have you seen all the images they've been making of him standing next to people?
Have you seen the one of him and Ridvan Yilmaz when he's just Yilmaz doesn't come up to his shin? That's what we've needed for a long time, though, innit? We've had no physicality at the back, like none at all. We're always saying, we've got it with Balogun and Suter, and then they get bullied off the ball. Then it was Clinton and Ciala. These 2 boys that have come in, Giga and Fernandez, they're absolute units. We spoke about it when we did the watch along. I think that Fernandez, if he can cut out the grabbing and the holding, these two boys are going to be absolute rocks at the back for us, and I think it'll be hard to see other players actually getting in. If they can get a connection, it's going to be scary, and we're actually going to have a solid team, hopefully, at the back anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've not seen what some people are talking about, but they've said they've seen that Giga running the full length of the park, and apparently he's rapid. Apparently the boy is quick. But a quick question from Alexander Marshall, lads. How much did we get for proper, and is Gazama coming? The rumour is, and it's just a rumour because I don't know the background finances, that it's $1.5 million that we're getting in for Robin Proper. And if the Sheffield Wednesday owner gets out of the World Buffet, then he'll be signed pretty quickly. But we're just waiting on the Sheffield Wednesday owner moving his fat ass and getting the contract signed, and then he will officially be a Rangers player. Kenny, yourself on this Rushworth?
The Buffet.
No, anything about him? I missed that one.
I've seen the fact that he's worked with him, and it's getting to the stage now where every time I see a player Martin's worked with him, it's like almost like Robbie Burns in every tune in Scotland. Every time you see this paper now, Martin's worked with him, or Martin's wanted him. So apparently Rushford, or whatever his name is, was working with him at Swansea.
Swansea,
is that right?
Aye.
So I don't know. Do you know what? I'm actually quite shocked, Martin, that we've no looked at a goalkeeping situation. Maybe he was wanting to feel his way around the training ground first with the goalkeepers that we had. I know he's played the both of them now, just to see what he's getting. I'm not comfortable going into a season where you're spending this much money on trying to make sure that team is solid in every position, but you don't strengthen the goalkeeping area. I think that would be a mistake. I'm not going to go over crazy on it, but I just think that they might not be good enough for a full season again, I think. And what we don't want to be doing is wait until they go in goals and make mistakes, and then we say we should have bought somebody there, or wait till January. So yeah, I believe there should be somebody in there saying, all right guys, how's it going? I'm just going to steal your shirt, and let them all fight for it, and it's good healthy competition, because I think the both of them are a bit stale, Kelly and Butland now, if that makes sense. So I'd like to see somebody come in and upset the apple cart slightly, who has got real potential, and then just see where it goes. But I'm shocked.
I think Kenny Butland's stale because all we're remembering right now is all the mistakes that he's made. Yeah, and we're not remembering all the great saves that he's made, because he's been a good goalkeeper for us. Yeah, all right. Manchester United punches it in. I think there was one at Kilmarnock as well. The Scottish Cup final, obviously. So he's made some high-profile mistakes, but he's also been in certain games our best player.
I think it's fair to say, Martin, as well, right? I think it's fair to say as well, pal, that he didn't really have the best identity of players in front and inside and all that as well. There was a lot of
that doesn't equate to a long shot at the end of a cup final and it's squirming off you. Right?
Well, no, but if your confidence is gone, your confidence is gone. So I suppose a goalkeeper's confidence is the same as a striker. And I would rather wait. If we're going to wipe the slate clean, guys, date with the goalkeepers and all. Let's just see if we can do something better. That's just
see the amount of times with Jack Butland though, when the ball came at him and it hit him in the chest and it bounced back out to attackers. Like, the amount of times that happened, or he parried a shot into the goal, he just didn't do himself enough and to show that he's going to be here for another season. I think we've seen a decline after that, and see with his heart when he went off and then Kelly was put in and he got a run of games. Butland's never seemed to recoup his form after that. It was like January time, and he's never seemed to recoup.
Let me ask you two of you, Alex. I'll start with you. Who's made more mistakes in the Rangers shirt, Jack Butland or Ben Davies?
Well, now you're asking probably Ben Davies, to be fair, but Jack Butland's made a few.
Totally disagree with that.
I would have said Butland. I would have honestly said Butland, because he played a lot more. Just because he played a lot more. That was all. And there was, his feet are terrible and all. That's another thing I don't like.
That's the reason I'm asking the question. Every single Rangers fan that you speak to, right? Most, I would say, apart from maybe a couple on here, that I know I'm happy for Ben Davies to go. When you speak about Butland, it's, well, there's like a 50% saying, yep, get rid of him, and there's a 50% saying, well, I don't know. So why are we so quick to just say Ben Davies, nope, not good enough, because of that mistake against Celtic. Right, let's face it. When anybody any Rangers fan thinks of Ben Davies, we think that mistake against Celtic, right? So how come we can just wipe the slate clean with Ben Davies and going up? You're not good enough, but with Jack Butland, it's a conversation.
I think there's something in that because he's a goalkeeper. Do you know? Because obviously he's a goalkeeper that he seems to get away with it because there's somebody there to come in and back him up. Obviously with another goalkeeper, but for Jack Butland, the mistakes he's made have cost us. They've obviously cost us in the cup final. Have cost us the ability to go forward. This Man United, for example, that's a game that he definitely cost us in that. I just think that there's something with a goalkeeper now. We'll get Connor on because he'd like be right up
just defend him at the whole.
He'd be defending him the whole way. But
Connor's never criticised a goalkeeper.
Never, and he never will. But I think that when you look at Jack Butland, is it maybe a necessity that he's not getting told to go because we've not been linked with a goalkeeper to this point? Now we have been linked with one because we were linked with Aaron Ramsdale, but nobody really went on that because of the wages. But if we're getting a player in, it has to be a goalkeeper that's not on loan because too often when we're looking at loans right now, we need to get somebody that's going to come in and be the number one. But that probably means that one of the goalies need to go out the door before that's going to happen. And I think that he's probably not had the criticism because he has made some good saves, whereas Ben Davies hasn't had some good moments in a Rangers shirt, and that's probably what you remember. He's not done much in a shirt to actually paint himself in any glory, whereas Jack Butland's had some.
A couple of questions for Ian Thompson, right? This is the first one. Are we seeing Russell Martin get to decide who we sign? That really didn't happen under Clement. Kenny, I don't think it's so much that Martin's getting, right, I want this guy, go and get him. I want this guy, go get him. I think it's almost something that I think a lot of us were taking the mick out of a few years ago. In fact, I think Liverpool done it under Brendan Rodgers many, many years ago, where it was almost we sign players by committee. So we get everybody in a room, the head scout, the CEO, the manager, whatever, and we have a look at all the players available. This is their stats. This is how much they're going to cost, blah, blah, blah. And the manager will go, right, well, I'd like this, this, and this. And they'll go, right, well, you can have that and that, but you can't have that. I think that's the kind of way Rangers are going, Kenny. I think Farewell's got a lot of power at our football club.
Yeah, that's what he's been brought in for, Bob, because he's got a track record of bringing pretty decent players in. There's somebody slagged it the other day in one of the internet forums, and somebody put up all the players that he got for Everton and all that, and some of them are worth a fortune now. Do you know what I mean? So I think he's got to say that's the good thing. That's all we can ask. Martin's got to say in it. He's in the room, he's sitting down with them, and they're coming as a collective. And Rangers haven't had that for years, mate. So I totally agree with you. I think it's a collective. Yes, no, maybe you're not getting that, but you can have this. Definitely.
It'll be a certain style of player, Alex, that Russell Martin said during his interview before he got the job. This is the kind of players that I'll be looking for that fit my style of play. And then it's up to Thelwell to go and find them.
100%. And he's obviously picked out a good few players because he's obviously happy with the boys that have come in. He says he's happy they're here and they're happy they're in. But I agree with Kenny. It obviously shows that.
Of course you do.
Shut up. He's obviously got a good bit of knowledge for the players that he's getting in. So
Disney know me then.
No, Kenny. No, Kenny. Oh. I'll throw you right under the bus. Right, there you go. But I think that there's obviously there's a good partnership between Russell Martin and Thelwell. They know he's saying, I want this the players I want. Can we make it happen? And we've obviously had some good success. The fact that we're on 7 signings and we're coming up to a season. Like before previous seasons, we'd be lucky if we'd done 3 or 4 signings and said, right, that's our team. We might look again in January. We're getting all our business done. So it shows that there's a connection between Thelwell and Russell Martin, but it also shows that the owners have a bit of, they've always got a bit of confidence in the boys to let them spend the money they're spending, because they obviously said there was money in the club, but they're going out and spending it. They're right, let's fire these bids in, we'll get players in. It's not small amounts of money, but we're showing that we mean business. Usually we'd get a few free transfers, boys at the end of their contract. We're actually getting young boys who are showing great potential. The 22, 23, there's going to be great sell-on for them if they do well, but it's showing that we mean business. We need to win a trophy. If that's the league, if that's a cup, we need to win this season, and I believe these are the players that are going to help us do it.
I seen a clip the other day. I can't remember if it was on Twitter or it was on TikTok. Or somebody put it in the group chat. I can't remember. Anyway, I seen this clip, and it was from people who don't support Rangers. Is that like the nicest way that I can put it? I think don't support Rangers, and we're screaming and shouting about how there's no way that we've spent £3 million on a player, right? Now, there's a difference between keeping an eye on your neighbours, right? Because you need to keep an eye on your competition. Of course you do. You need to see what are they doing that's working for them, if it's not working for us, etc., etc. Ken, you right? So you're always scouting. You're scouting every team in the league, but of course you're keeping a closer eye on your closest rivals. There's a difference between that and absolute and complete psychoness, Kenny. Like that noise we're hearing.
It's called VR and an 8-year-old. Know what I mean?
That sounded awfully like that clip that I seen, to be fair.
Know what I mean? Now it's going, oh, the net that I've got somewhere in a cage. So I agree with you, man. It's like, listen, the mentality of some of the other side of 8 Mile, I've seen the comment, crowd is madness. I mean, I think there's a realisation setting in for a lot of them, which is going to hurt that this isn't going away now. We are really going for it. It isn't every single season now as well. We're going to be looking to upgrade in January as well as we're in summer. It's going to be after year after year after year. We look at all the American owners and the people that own all the different clubs at Liverpool, Aston Villa. I'm not going to include Man United, they're donkeys, but you know what I mean. You'll be glad to hear, Martin. But yeah, it's sad how they're going about it. They're completely infatuated with it. Know them all, right? Know them all. But a good majority is starting to really get silly with it. The Kerrydale meltdown thing I love. I think some of that's just gold.
Mm-hmm.
However, it gets to a stage where sometimes it is embarrassing, which is, I know that sounds really harsh, but sometimes like, come on, you know, it's good for the full of the Scottish League for the two of us to be really going at one another, right? I don't care what anybody says. It really is. So I would rather the two teams were strong financially and strong in the markets so that we can see a real battle for a real league. No, we're missing for 3 years and you canter things and all the rest of it. I mean, you win a league when it's like 6 and 9 points in it and it's gone toe-to-toe all the way through. That's the way I think most Rangers fans see it and they love that. Mm-hmm. Whereas sometimes the other side, they start to try and question where your money's coming from. And do we know gangsters? And did that guy win the pools? How have they managed to buy an £8 million player? You know what I mean? Did Rangers give the Provy man round on Thursday? It's just crazy, man. So yeah, I get what you're meaning with that, Martin. Sometimes I watch this stuff and I can't actually believe it.
I genuinely have to believe that they do it just for views. We could come on here, right, every single show and talk about everything Celtic and probably get loads more views than what we get because obviously a lot of them would tune in, etc., etc. I couldn't bring myself to watch one of their podcasts, let alone watch one of their games. And my boy, who's a Celtic fan, stayed in this house, well, for a long, long time before I made him buy his own place and move it. But I can't get over the obsession. I want to finish up on this though. Again, I apologise. It was Ian Thompson that put this idea in my head, right? Alex, we talk a lot about Scottish players, right? Mm-hmm. We talk about trying to have a Scottish core within this Rangers team. Now, out with bringing them through our own youth academy. The point that Ian Thompson made was the ones that are at Aberdeen, Hibs, Kilmarnock, etc., etc., the ones that are good enough are probably out with our price range in terms of what the clubs want us to pay for them compared to like say clubs in Italy or Spain or whatever. But the ones that are in our price range aren't good enough. Is there a shortage of players in Scotland for Rangers and Celtic?
I definitely think there's a lack of Scottish talent in our league that can come in and actually get into our starting 11 and across the city. I think the biggest issue is, though, Martin, you hit the nail on the head. The fact is that somebody like James Penrice, he's also went to Athens for $2 million. See if that's us, that's 5, 6, 7 million that they want us to pay for James Penrice, and we're never going to go and pay that amount of money. So I think the fact is that if they are good enough, it's not that they are out with their price range, it's the fact that the Scottish clubs then put such a heavy price tag on them that we can't afford them, or that we won't pay that money, because when we go to pay for them, look at Lawrence Shankland. There was obviously a lot of players in for it. A lot of clubs wanted him. He was wanted by West Brom. He said he had a few offers, but then goes and signs another 3-year deal with Hearts. So I think the fact is that unless they're coming through our own academy, there's not going to be many Scottish players we go and get unless it's on a free. But by that point, look at Lyle Cameron, for example. We've got him on a free, but then he's obviously not liked by the Dundee support because he run his contract down. But is that the only way that we're going to get these Scottish players? Is if they run the contract down and we get them on? I don't see any other way unless, it's an absolute worldie like Lennon Miller, that we go and spend an absolute silly amount of money on, because Lennon Miller will cost somebody like Rangers
8
10
million.
million. Do you know what I mean? He'll be absolutely through the roof. We won't pay it. But see if it's a Bologna, a Hellas Verona, somebody in Italy, it'll be like 4 or 5. So we're having to pay a premium because they don't want to sell to within the league. But yet, see if you're selling to somebody like Rangers or across the city, there's obviously going to be a sell-on clause. If they're coming to us and they perform and they go for an astronomical fee, you're going to reap the rewards of that. You're going to get money back. Whereas if they're going abroad, you might not get as big a sell-on clause. So I think it's exactly what Stuart's saying. I think there's definitely a bit of a snobbery, and I think it's just they don't want to sell to us because then they're strengthening our team. They'd rather sell out with the league.
They've been happy to sell. They've been happy to sell to Celtic for years,
but they've been happy to sell to other teams. So they'll sell to, like you've seen it, like Danny Armstrong, who's went from Kelly, looking like he's going to go to Hearts. There's other players in this league that will happily sell to clubs within it. Look at Blair Spittle; he was doing brilliant at Ross County, went to Hearts. There's players in our league that will happily go to other clubs, but not us. And I think it's because we've been a bit of a laughingstock the past couple of years. We've just been mediocre. We've not been able to get anywhere going in the league. I think players will want to start coming to Rangers now that they actually see there's going to be a bit of a change in the season to come.
Yeah. Can I just say, does this make my point? Does that make my point?
It does.
I think that makes my point, doesn't it? Without me having to even say anything.
I don't get why you click on a Rangers podcast. Like, are you that obsessed? You have to click on the podcast. And
you know what? It's not even that, right? By all means, if 100,000 Celtic fans want to tune in and watch, please tune in and watch, because then I can get a kitchen extension, right? But don't tune into your opposite club's podcast and then be angry about what they're talking about.
Where would it be a woman from Southern Ireland who slagged the life out and then donated you a £5 on the super chat? I thought that was class.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, like, watch whatever you want, but that would be like us tuning into a Celtic show and then being raging at what they're saying. Like, why?
They mentioned their names. Why are they talking about us?
I know.
Very true. Listen, can I come back to what you said to Alex there? Because I was actually quite...
I was going to bring you right back in on it, Kenny, but you totally undercut me and just didn't let me finish.
Well, that's what
Kenny, what's your thoughts, Kenny, on what I just the question I just posed to Alex?
Well, that's what you get for making me run a show when I don't know what I'm bloody doing. So that's me got the bug now. I'm just talking you right out. Get out. So I know. Do you know something? If you flip that coin though, if you're scout, I'm going to kill you. If you're scouts, right? And as Alex says, if you've got the balls to play them, but if your scouts see these players early enough, and nobody's really sniffing about them, and there's no agents looking about them, and your scouts are good enough, you can take the Penrices and the Doids and all that when they're still young, and you see it before everybody else. Now, Celtic and Rangers, I'm sorry, but you should be scouting their players a lot faster than it takes until Roma comes in for them, or some team in Germany. You know, there's a flip side to that coin. I get it. Mute. Yes.
I was just saying, somebody on here a year and a half ago did mention Lennon Miller.
See what I mean, though? And it's all right, we're saying it, right? And how many times have we sat in the pod and said that we've mentioned all these young talent? I know for a fact, Martin, that you always pushed about young Scottish talent, just obviously Rangers. But if we see them quick enough, if your scouts are going potentially looking for to take them, no put them into the graveyard of the youth development, right? I'm talking about the way Ferguson used to put in the youth, or Walter Smith used to put in the youth, or anything like that. And take away the snobbery, we'll say what Stuart Alison said, which is 100% right, then you've no excuse. Do you know what I mean? These players they've not just popped into nowhere. That they've been getting monitored, and we should be doing that and saying, that guy's good enough. Do you know what I mean? Let's bring him over. He's going to, I mean, see, the thing is, right, remember the wee guy Docherty, centre midfielder? Was he with Hamilton or something? And then he came, I was a big Rangers fan. Run about like a snacky nutter because he was absolutely, oh my God, I play for Rangers now. What am I got today? Supported Rangers all his life, ran about the streets with Rangers tap on, shat the bed because his head was all over the place. See if you can get a manager to completely calm somebody down, talk to them, be a man manager. There you go. Russell Martin, give the wee man Barron stick a wee armband on him. What happened there? You know, it's all about man managing these players. We missed a trick with Docker, we really did. And Barron's the same. I think if you can get a man manager and Martin proves to be, you can get a wee gem there. So I think the Scottish scouting system for the both big clubs should be a lot smarter and have the balls to actually go and give them the chance and the opportunity. And I tell you now, you heard it here first, that Lyle Cameron's going to be a player for us. I can guarantee you. The way they're talking about my training and all that, and he seems to be a bit of a player.
I heard a rumour, and I've never brought it up. But I heard a rumour that Thelwell wasn't enamoured with Cameron when he came through the door. And that there was a possibility of looking at the contract and stuff, but obviously there was nothing that could be done because the contract was all signed. And I was going to finish up on Lyle Cameron, Alex. I liked him at Dundee. I thought he was a cracking player for Dundee. And I think he can bring a sort of an energy that will help out Raskin. Because I think if you watch Raskin in the middle of the park, he's all energy, but it's really just him. Diamande has spells where he picks up the ball, takes it for a run, or he skins a player. But Raskin's the one who's constantly got all that intensity rushing about the park. I think a Lyle Cameron playing slightly further forward in one of those 10 roles, I think that is a perfect suit to play in there with Raskin.
I completely agree. Looking at Lyle Cameron last season for Dundee, he was one of the most influential players. I think he's going to be unbelievable for us. It's a step up in quality, but for a team that was that far down the table and he still got the amount of goal contributions that he did, I think that Lyle Cameron's going to fit in here very, very easily. He's going to show that he's got the quality to play. My biggest issue is going to be, we all want him to be a starter, but with the players that are coming in, is he going to get that opportunity to start, or is he going to need to prove himself off the bench? Because somebody like Lyle Cameron's got the quality to just come in now and show exactly what he's got and what we need. But the amount of midfielders we've now got is a bit mad. There's obviously competition all over the park. Now, the amount of games we're going to play, 50, 60 games, you need a lot of boys, but you want your best players starting. And I think for us, Lyle Cameron's going to show that he's got the quality to play every game and actually get the goals. He can put in a great cross, but he's also got a wicked shot on him. I don't know if you've seen some of the highlights from last season, some of the games I watched. He's got a great ability to score from outside the box. He's got an absolute rocket on him. And I think that's exactly what we need. See players that are happy to take a risk and ensure that they've got that quality. Lyle Cameron's your man for that. Oh, there's the red. There's the red.
And on that note, folks, I was just saying, actually, I agreed with Alex. Maybe that's why I was on mute and I didn't bring myself off. But listen, folks, that will do us for tonight. Please make sure before you leave, before you exit the show, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a wee like. Well over 400 people watching. There was close to 500 at one point as well. Give the show a like. Help us out a wee bit. Make sure that you are subscribed as well, because that really does help. We're going to try over the course of the season coming to get loads of guests lined up, get interviews done. And if we can show them, well, look how many people we've got subscribed to the show, you can tell your story, blah, blah, blah. Then it really helps. So if you aren't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. If you haven't hit that like button, please do, because it helps share the pod throughout the YouTube algorithm as well. Alex, Kenny, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
That was great for the audio listeners there. That was great for the audio listeners.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. They're sick hearing us anyway.
What do you mean good for the audio listeners? The amount of times you've been on mute, that's no good for your audio listeners. Good
point.
Bastard. Right, okay. Thank you very much for tuning in, folks. Go and enjoy the rest of your Friday night in this sweltering heat. And for the members, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. for your Random Rabble for CEO tier and above, and then it'll be uploaded onto Patreon. And then on Sunday, we've got your Sunday supplement for all channel members as well. So thank you very much, folks, and we shall speak very, very soon.